Do you ever wish that you can ask a professional anything you want? Like, for example, if your sink is broken, do you ever want to ask a professional, like, yo, what is going on? What's happening? How do I fix it? Or maybe your computer's broken down. Or maybe in this case, your love life isn't what it is, and you want to ask a professional, hey, what's going on? How do I fix it? Help me out here. Now, I know people normally go to Google, right? Like, that's the easiest thing ever. But the problem with Google is that unless you're typing in the right question, like you don't get that interaction, you get a general answer. And there's something about having someone like dedicated to your specific problem that makes it special. Well, on today's episode, that's what we're going to do. Today's episode is part 2 of the top 10 questions that are asked. And in this episode, I'm going to go deep into each of those questions, and we're going to tell you what to do, what's wrong, and how to fix things. And so, if that's what you're into, you want to keep this party going from part 1, you want to jump into part 2, stick around. Let's get into it. So, welcome back to the Red Velvet Podcast. What's happening, Captain? How you feeling, Big Sexy? My name is Pablo J. Rosario, and I'm your host with the most, as always. And welcome back. Welcome back to part 2 of the top 10 questions asked by single men. Like I said before, so this is a continuation of the previous episode where I took in the average profile, the average details of the average Red Velvet listener. I know I said average a lot. And I typed it into ChatGPT, and I was like, what are the top 50 questions that a person like this would ask? And it spit out the top 10. Actually, no, it spit out the top 50, and I just, finagled them and fixed them around. And I was like, you know what, let me just see what are the top 10 sexiest, the top 10 most impactful. And this idea actually came from the lives I've been doing. Because for the last 60 plus 70 days, I've been going on live, TikTok live every single day and doing Q&A, asking people, hey, what do you need help with? And giving advice. And over these past 60, 70 days, it's actually been pretty cool. I've developed a cool little community. They call themselves Pablo Peeps. And so if you're part of Pablo's Peeps right now, what's up? I'm shouting you out. What's up, sexy? Nice to see you. And throughout that time, I've started to see patterns, I've started to see questions, and it's great for me because I get an insight as to what's actually happening with people. There's a thing that happens that when you are a coach and you are, in a place where you have knowledge, they call it the curse of having knowledge or the curse of knowledge. And essentially, the curse is that you are so versed in your field that you forget what it's like to be a beginner. You forget what it's like to experience and go through the hardships of a beginner. And these lives have kind of brought me down to earth in a sense that it's letting me know what people are going through. And some of it's great, some of it's heartbreaking. And I figure, sometimes you just need to ask someone, hey, this is my problem, I need help. So that's what I wanted this episode to be about. And in the meantime, and in between time, let me actually just share this with you. Before I get into this, I was gonna make this episode about something different, something that happened to me this weekend. But I was like, you know what, let me just keep the continuation going and let me, get my thoughts together. But let me give you a hint. And so essentially what I wanted to talk about was something very interesting. And I'll just give you this quick story and you're gonna hate me because it's a cliffhanger, you're gonna hate me. But essentially it worked like this, where I was at a men's group gathering. So yeah, I run my own men's group, it's called the Red Velvet Group, but I like to get my work in as well. I like to better myself. And so I went to a men's group gathering and I shared. I wasn't planning to, but I did it anyway. And then at one point, I was discussing about what was going on with me and I was speaking and somebody caught a word. They caught me saying something but just skipping over it. And they were like, Pablo, and that word, by the way, was failure. Let me get it. Yeah, that word that I skipped over was failure. And that person was like, one of the guys in the group said, Pablo, what if it was a failure? And immediately I felt myself go, no, can't be a failure. No failure, I can't fail. And that led to a huge breakthrough. That led to a rabbit hole, which I'm gonna share with you on next week's podcast. But today, like I said, let's just keep the party going. The intention is to give you the answers to the top 10 questions asked that I've received so far. And we'll probably do this again because I'm sure there are more questions that will pop up. And so in the first episode, we did the top 5, the first 5, because if we did all 10, it would be a long episode. I know you're busy, so I want to keep it nice, short, sweet, and sexy. So now we're gonna dive into the last 5. And so just to quickly recap, some of the questions that we asked on the last podcast were like, what are the strategies I can use to build my confidence around women? How can I meet quality women that share my values, my interests? How can I overcome self-doubt and build up self-confidence? How long should I wait before I date again? How can I learn to be more vulnerable without looking weak? So if you want to know the answers to those, just check out the episode before this. Now, let's get into today's questions. And the very first question of the day is, how can I better recognize signs of interest from women? Now, this is a fantastic question. This is a question that I feel like if guys had the answer to, they would feel a lot more confident. Because I get it. When you're talking to a woman, you have no idea, is this working? Does she like me? Should I go for the phone number? Because I don't want to come off as a creeper. I don't want to come off as, imposing or anything like that, or invasive. And so, and it's hard too when women are not giving you any signs. And it reminds me of this one time when I was in LA. And I was at a bar and I was just, over there just having fun with friends and talking. And there was this one particular woman. I met her at the bar and we started talking. And I'm giving her my best stuff. I'm busting out my best stories, my best flirting stuff, my best little games. Like I'm pulling out the heavy hitters. And yet, she ain't giving me no response. Like she's giving me the most neutral responses ever. And I'm like, well, I don't know if this is working. I don't know if this is going anywhere. But we kept talking. And so I said, all right, cool, I'll see you later. And I saw her at the end of the night. And we're all outside waiting for our Ubers. And then she comes up to me, she goes, so what's your story? Yeah, let's exchange Instagrams. And I was like, wait, what was going on here? I thought you didn't like me. In my head, I'm like, I thought nothing was working, but apparently, I guess it was. And so, even though I knew what the signs looked like, I guess I still missed them. And it was actually one that I didn't even realize, which is if a woman is not really giving you signs, but she's still there talking to you, it's a good sign that she may be interested. And so to answer the question, like, how do I get there? How do I get to the point where you're able to recognize signs, even the nonverbal ones and the secret ones? It's honestly this. It's a combination of education, experience, and experimentation. So what I mean by that is that, so as far as like the signs, the nonverbal signs that a woman likes you, these have been scientifically proven because they're nonverbal. This is the way our body naturally reacts to people that we like. Like if you notice with people that we like, you ever notice that for some reason we kind of gravitate towards them, we move closer. And with people that we don't like, we tend to close ourselves off, we tend to move away. One funny thing, like one great way to test it out, and I'm not saying do this, but just watch out. One thing I recommend is to go out to a public place like the mall or something like that, something where there's people, and observe people together and try to read their dynamics based on their body language. You'll notice that couples who are together have a different body language than those who are just friends. Those who are couples, they're closer together, they're touching more, whereas, and they are facing each other, whereas people who are just friends likely have a little bit more distance between them. They, instead of being face to face, they are side to side. You get what I'm saying? And so my first recommendation would be, I'm just here getting the collar looking sexy. But yeah, and so my first recommendation would be to just simply do a little research. Try to find out like what are the basic signs that a woman is interested. One of the easiest and the best things that I found is I would recommend Googling the science of flirting, hot ape. And the name of the scientist escapes me, or the researcher escapes me, but there's this researcher, and I think Jean something, but she studied this where she found the 6 signs of flirting, and simply said they're humor, open body language, touch, attention, proximity, and eye contact. And so with a little bit of research, you can use that as a basis to see, all right, does this woman like me? And then once you have these, then go out and experience it. Go talk to them and see if you get these signs. Do little experiments to see, well, what happens if I say this? Does she give me those signs? Now you know what to specifically look for. And by the way, this applies to everybody as well. It doesn't matter who you're trying to get with. This works as universal. It's human behavior. And so after that, now you have experience, now experiment. I would say maybe make this joke and see if you get this response. Maybe move your body like this, see if you get this response. And so I think with those things, education, experience, experimentation, you will have a good knowledge, you'll develop a good feel and an interest for whether or not a woman is into you. And so simple, like if you can't read the signs, it's just because you don't know the language. And once you know the language, then you will have the confidence to move forward, to take your shot. You'll know, okay, she is receptive to me going for the kiss. She's receptive to me holding her hand, asking her out. And once you read these signs, like the nerves will go away because body language wise, she will tell you, hey, I like you. Hey, I would love to go out with you. And so that's my recommendation for the first question. Let's go for the next one. How can I manage my time better to make room for dating despite a busy schedule? Now, this is a great question. This is a question for all my busy guys out there. Like, listen, I get it. You are doing your thing, you have your career, and it brings you fulfillment. You're doing a lot of great things. At the same time, you do not have a lot of time to do the whole thing as far as being texting, talking to someone all the time, going on dates, and then trying and failing, all that, trial and error to meet someone, and going out to the bars when you got to get up early the next morning. You got this big project. I totally get it. That's why for my clients, I could develop a new way to meet women. And so it's kind of similar to what I talked about last episode as far as like where can I meet women. And it's essentially the idea is this, is that, the idea is to not make more time to meet women, is to use the time you already have to meet women. And in other words, instead of trying to make more space in your life, use the life that you already have and use it differently to meet women. So I guess that what I'm trying to say at the end of the day, the solution is not to make more time, it's just to use the time you have differently. Here's what I mean by that, is that for all my busy guys out there, like I have a bunch of clients, I have lawyers, doctors, business owners, startup owners. So, but here's the thing that I realized, or here's a commonality, all of them do live a somewhat normal life. And what I mean by that is that they all go to a grocery store, they all got to go to the gym, they're all got to go somewhere. And here's the thing, when you are out and about and you are somewhere, guess what? If there's a woman around, that's an opportunity to meet women. That's your chance to do your thing. And so if let's say you're busy, but guess what? You're on your way to lunch. So guess what? If a beautiful woman is there in the lunch line, that's an opportunity to meet women. And so you're not taking time out of your day, you're using the time you already have to meet women. You're already there, might as well talk to women. If you are on the phone trying, figuring something out with some representative of a company, guess what? That's an opportunity to work your skills and talk. You never know who might be on the other side of that phone. That's another opportunity, another chance as far as, okay, cool, well, what about dates? Pablo, I don't have time to go on dates, this, that, and the other. Well, here's the thing. If you haven't already, you need to have something fun that you're doing in your schedule. Like if you're just working, you're gonna go crazy. Like there has to be a way for you to decompress, a way for you to enjoy yourself. Now, all you gotta do is just invite the woman into the fun thing that you're already doing. And then boom, you have a date. So like for example, let's say on Saturdays, you go rock climbing. That's your fun thing that you do for yourself, to relax, to enjoy yourself. Well, guess what? Now when you meet a woman, you go, hey, I'm actually going rock climbing on Thursday or on Saturday. You should come with me. And boom, now you have a date with something that you are already doing. And so if I could say anything, it would probably be this. And this is a mentality that I recommend that you have when it comes to meeting women, having a busy schedule, is to not think about like, oh, how can I make more time? But the thing is, you gotta think about is, how can I meet women while doing the things I'm already doing? When you think like that, you don't have to really switch up your schedule. You don't have to really take time out of your day. All you have to do is just figure out how to meet women while I'm doing the things that I'm doing. And so again, you're at the gas station there's a woman there, talk to her while you're pumping gas. If you're on your way to lunch, talk to a woman while you're on your way to lunch. And so with that kind of dynamic right there, you don't have to take extra time. So hope that helps. Let's go to the next question. What are the signs of a truly healthy and fulfilling relationship? Wow, that's a good question. So my definition, or at least for me, like my markers of a healthy relationship, well, here's the thing. The true answer to that is gonna come from experience. It's going to come from experience, because there are some things that, like, oh, this is really fulfilling, that you think is going to make you feel fulfilled. And there are other things that you would never figure out that you would think like, oh, this isn't nothing, but they actually are a big thing. It comes from experience. It's not something you're going to know right off the bat. It's going to come from having, one or two bad dates, one or two bad relationships. And so, like, for example, for me, the things that make my relationship filling are, one is that I know it's healthy. It's, one, being able to communicate when we're having an argument. Like, if we can both say our piece, we can both say in a way that's respectful, we listen to each other, and be there for each other. For me, that's healthy. That's fulfilling. Guess the way that I learned that? By being in a relationship that didn't have that. I was gonna say not have that, but yeah, by being in a relationship that didn't have that. I was in a relationship one time where the woman, guess what? She tried to emasculate me. She tried to say stuff like, "Oh, that's why you fuck fat girls. That's why why are you acting like a bitch?" Just things like that. And guess what? That taught me boundaries. A fulfilling and healthy relationship is one where there are boundaries and there's respect. And those two things together are very important. And so another sign of a healthy relationship is simple. As far as another sign of a fulfilling relationship for me is just little acts of service. I didn't know I liked those, but guess what? Whenever my partner makes me pancakes, she makes me a little protein shake, that makes me feel great. I'm like, oh, she loves me. And I didn't know I needed that, but I guess I do because I like it. And so those, it's going to come from experience. But for yourself, let's say you're not there. Let's say you don't have the experience and you're like, Pablo, all right, well, where do I find these things? Or rather, how do I find these things? Well, let me give you a little checklist, right? So number one is see, how do they fight? Do they fight like adults or do they fight like children, where they're going for the jugular, where they slam tables and they constantly eject and constantly raise their voice and act really aggressive and anxious or avoidant, or are they able having a talk like an adult? That's a great sign of a healthy relationship. Another great sign is, so when you guys talk, do you keep score? Does the person go for low blows? Does the person show respect for your boundaries? Another great thing is, do you feel like you can lay boundaries? Do you feel safe around the person? Do you feel like you can be yourself? Or do you feel like you have to put on a mask? Do you feel like you can really let your hair down, just be the goofy you? Those are great signs of a fulfilling relationship. The other thing as well is that, if you feel like you have to play a part, like, man, like this is exhausting, I constantly have to make them happy, you're not in the right relationship. You want to have it to be the space where, listen, you could be a Tuesday and you're just sitting there in pajamas having fun and you just in your soul feel like, I'm happy. That's how you know you're rocking. And so if I can give you a recap, I would say a couple things. Number one, how do you fight? That's a sign of a healthy relationship. Number two is for you to figure out what makes you feel fulfilled. Yes, sex and everything is great and have that be part of the equation, but what else makes you feel fulfilled? What else fills your cup? And does your partner do that? And so for everybody, it's going to be different. Like I said, for me, I like little acts of service. I like, a little protein shake. I like a little pancakes here and there. I like that, and that makes me feel fulfilled. My lady does not have to take me on some extravagant date. She does not have to, do this huge bonanza of a show. It's just like a little thing like, here, I know you like that, and that makes me feel fulfilled. And so for you, again, experience is going to tell you, but with that said, those two things I would say. Number one, which is, how do they argue? And number two is, what makes you happy? What makes you feel fulfilled? And what really fills your cup? And does that person feel that? Okay. Next question. What are some methods for setting and maintaining healthy boundaries? Okay. So it's funny how this one comes next. So the topic of boundaries, first, let me just establish this as far as like what boundaries are. So boundaries are not telling the other person what to do. A lot of people think that like setting boundaries is telling someone, hey, don't do that. Hey, I don't like that. Don't do that. That's not setting boundaries. Setting boundaries is saying, hey, if this happens, this is what I'm going to do. And then enforcing that. You see, the difference between those two ideas is that with the first one, you're trying to control somebody's behavior. You're trying to tell them how you want them to act. Now, the thing about that, like even though they're just straight wilding and just maybe just being disrespectful, despite that being the case, the reality is that we can't control other people. no matter how hard we try. And you're gonna drive yourself crazy trying to control your partner, trying to control how she expresses herself and what she says. I remember for me, there was at one point where I didn't like cursing during arguments. I didn't like cursing. But then I realized that's me trying to control her expression. Because in the moment, if I'm angry and I want to curse, I want to let that loose. I don't want someone to tell me, yo, no, don't curse. I'm like, nah, fuck that. I want to express myself this way. Now, through experience, I learned that I don't like being cursed at. That's the difference. So you can express yourself however you want. However, as far as the behavior that I allow towards myself, as far as being cursed at, that is my boundary. Now that came from experience, and like I said before, you're gonna learn that as you go through your relationships. But as far as now, the other side, the other thing that I mentioned, as far as the difference between point number one and point number two, where I said, hey, don't do that, versus if this happens, this is what I'm gonna do. So the second version, it really is less about them, but you're just letting them know what you're going to do. And it's more about what you can control, which is you and what you allow. Because you don't have to sit there and take it. At any point in time, like, you are in control of what you allow. So if you're in a relationship with stuff happening and you don't like it, it's not on them, it's on you. Because you're not saying anything about it, and you're allowing yourself to stay there and take it. And you do not have to stay there and take it. So if you don't like it, you're like, all right, I'm leaving. And by the way, everybody, it depends on the quote unquote offense, but you can make up your own consequences for the violation of the boundaries. You can walk away from the conversation, you can hang up, you can refuse to talk to people about certain topics. You could be like, hey, listen, no, that's my boundary. I'm not gonna talk about this with you. We can talk, but just not that topic. And if you don't want to talk about another topic, we don't have to have a conversation. And it doesn't have to be, by the way, in an angry sort of way. It could be just very light, regular sort of way. And there are other boundaries as well. Like if they do something really heavy, it might be cost in the relationship. So for everybody, it's different. You have to set it. Now, as far as how to set and maintain healthy boundaries, it's simple. This first off, don't. My recommendation is, no need to just get riled up. I mean, fuck it, express yourself. But I think for the first time around, my recommendation is to do step one, acknowledge where they're at and where they're feeling. So something along the lines of, hey, I know you're worked up right now. I know you're angry right now. So that just shows like, hey, I see your point. Step two is to establish your boundary. But if you talk to me like that again, like I don't like to be talked to like that. I find it disrespectful. If you talk to me like that again, I'm gonna step away from the conversation. And so simple as that. And then step three would be to, boom, re-engage with what you guys were talking about, something along the lines of, so what you were saying. So altogether, it might look something like this, like, hey, listen, I know you're angry right now. I know you're worked up. I know you're mad about what I did, but I don't like being talked to like that. If it happens again, I'm gonna step away from the conversation, okay? All right, so beautiful. So tell me more. So what was going on your side? Like what happened? And then just see, it's a very direct yet still compassionate sort of way. Now, as far as maintaining the boundary, that's not their job. It is your job. So if it happens again, then it's up to you to enforce that boundary. Otherwise, it doesn't mean anything. So, I'll give you an example. There was one time with a partner where I asked not to be talked to in a certain way. And then I was talked to in that way. I got up and left. I said, all right, I'm done. No, conversation's over. I just got up and left. I left the conversation. And so it's up to you to maintain it by actually enforcing it. So it's not the other person's job to follow, it's your job to enforce it. Does this make sense? So that's how you would set and maintain a healthy boundary. And we're gonna end it with the last question, which is, how do I develop a more engaging and dynamic social life? And this question I personally picked out. It's not a question that a lot of people ask, but I needed to bring it to your attention because it is the answer I'm about to give you is probably the answer to a lot of your dating problems. As far as like, where do I meet people? How do I get confident? How do I start meeting quality women? And the answer to that question is simply this, is to get out of your house and talk to people. That is the basic answer. I'm gonna give you a more detailed answer in a second, but at the core, get out of your house and talk to people. Because the average guy wakes up, goes to work, maybe goes to the gym, goes to maybe happy hour, comes back, watches Netflix, does something else, watch a different type of Netflix, and then goes to sleep. And during that time, he talks to the same 3 to 4 people that he talks to every day. And it's the same conversation. Hey, how you doing? What a weekend. Did you see the game? Oh, another day, another dollar. Here we go again. But when you live life like that, how are you going to meet anybody? Like, by definition, you're not talking to anybody new. You're not going anywhere exciting. And so, but if you just simply do the things, if you just get outside of your house, out of your normal routine, you're going to by default go to new places. And when you talk to people, you're going to by default meet new people. And then when you build up a habit, the chances of you meeting someone exciting and someone doing something exciting and shit, and meeting somebody exciting, doing something fun, exponentially increase, because now you're putting yourself in a position to have a more dynamic and engaging social life. Like, one of the exercises that I give all of my clients, like when we start working together, if one of your things is being shy and timid, the very first exercise I give everybody is simply this: say hi to one new person every day for 30 days. One new person, just say hi. I don't care if it's man or woman, just say hi. And then what ends up happening, usually by like day 15 to 20, they're like, Pablo, like, I can't turn it off now. Now people just say hi to me. Now the world is so different. And mind you, I didn't ask them to drastically change their life. I didn't ask them to start going to the clubs or start traveling. I told them, listen, just get outside, just start saying hi to people. And that simple thing alone started to change their lives. And so at the very core, if you want a more engaging, dynamic social life, get outside out of your normal routine and say hi. Now, let me leave you with the actual like high level tip, because you're probably thinking, all right, Paul, that sounds basic, but let me get something. All right, so I got you. So simply this, all right, I'm gonna make it super easy. So, all right, if you want to have a more engaging, more dynamic, I was gonna say sex life, but that's for another episode. A more dynamic and a more engaging social life, simply this: it's one, start picking an activity. Pick an activity that you can go to every week, whether that be salsa, whether that be yoga, whether that be rock climbing, something you enjoy. That's the key thing behind that. You have to enjoy that. And there has to be people there as well. So that's number one. And number two is to pick one activity or one special event that you go to every week. So whether that be a meetup, whether that be a freaking concert, a bar, and whether that be some type of festival, just one special event that you go to every week. And then with these two things in mind, go there a lot. Go there every week and become a regular. What's gonna happen now, you're gonna meet different people from different backgrounds, and then while you're talking to people there, you're gonna get invited, you're gonna make friends, you're gonna get invited to other things as well. And now your calendar is gonna get filled up, because now you're gonna get invited from other people to do other things, and this thing just stacks right on top of each other. And so you have something to do every week. You're meeting new people every week. You're getting invited new places every week. And with that said, now you build this social circle where people are taking you places, you're being introduced to other people, and now it starts to become more exciting. And I would say, if I could sum it up, I would say it's simply just do shit that you enjoy. Like, get off your ass and start making a list of like, yo, what are some stuff that I enjoy? And living a life that's average of let me just go to work and let me just come back, it ain't cutting it. And don't tell me, oh, cause I'm busy or whatever the limitations. Nah, that's an excuse. Because with a little Google research, you can find the top 10 cool things to do in my town, or the top 10 cool things to do in the next town over. Because by the way, if you live in a town where nothing's going on and fixing your social life is something important to you, I recommend either start going to the next town over or you move. I know it sounds crazy, but you move, because your alternative is to continue living the boring life that you have now that you're not happy with. So that would be my advice, and those are my top 5 questions, or rather 10. That completes the 10, actually. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you got a lot of value out of it. And shout out to my Pablo's Peeps on the live that inspired this episode. And if you have any questions, if you want to know anything, if you want to like, hey Pablo, I want to submit a question, you can either email me at pablo@pablojrosario.com. Find me on TikTok or find me on Instagram. I'm at pablo.j.rosario, and throw them in. I'll shout you on the podcast and be like, hey, this question comes from Jimmy from North Carolina or from Florida. So yeah, throw them in there. With that said, thank you so much for listening in. You are awesome. I love you. I appreciate your time. I appreciate you listening. And stay tuned for next week. So I'm going to drop a good one. I'm going to talk about something that has to do with fear of failure. And if that's something that you struggle with or want to know more about or want to know how to get over, come see me next week. Till then, I'm Pablo Rosario. Thank you for listening to the Red Velvet Podcast. Stay velvet, and I'll see you next week. Later.